So Twisted Leagues got released today, and I've been wanting to grind it out probably as hard as I used to for my Dead Man Mode tournaments in the past. And not only that, I also plan on making videos fairly frequently for it. So this is my first video. I won't have any real-time commentary, mostly because I knew it was going to be pretty hectic, and I primarily just wanted to focus on being as efficient as I could be at the start. I'm going to voice over the clips that I do have for my first day and pretty much just share my general strategy and approach to playing the league. Now, I do want to say that I had made a very thorough plan and that I thought would be the most efficient way of starting out, and I was pretty much following my own guide pretty close to the entire start of the Twisted Leagues. And there's only one thing that I was really worried about when making that guide, and that was a bottleneck at the very beginning, and that was to plow fields for 15% favor. And the reason you need 15% favor is because that is the requirement that the fruit stalls, and fruit stalls are pretty important to my plan, and I'll explain that in a bit. So of course, knowing that, the first thing I did when I got into game was sprint straight to the plow fields, and I was actually there way before anyone else was. I don't know what everyone else was doing. I think they must have been like customizing their character or something, but I was there before anyone else was pretty much. And I just started plowing, and as soon as I got there, like literally 5 minutes later, it was packed. Like people were like trying to PJ plows off each other, and I was really happy. I just got that over with. And the good thing is, once you get a plow, you can't get PJ'd off unless you are essentially AFK long enough. So I did that for 15% favor. At this time, I also unlocked the stamina relic, which is called Endless Endurance, and that pretty much lets you run it infinitely. It gives you a shit ton of regen. Naturally, every 15 seconds you regenerate 1 health, and it was actually a really tough decision. The day before, I was like 90% sure I was going to pick the Abyssal one, but I decided like last minute, like an hour before, that I was going to go the stamina route. It just seemed like the overall better choice, especially when there was a rumor of like extra resources and all that stuff, and I just figured it wouldn't be that bad if I just had to pick up arrows or something, or like I had to like make a lot of GP before I trained magic or something. Like it didn't seem that crucial, so I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna go with the stamina relic. It's a safer pick. Clue scrolls were given a chunk of points because the tasks were leaked like a day before, so I figured, you know what, stamina's probably gonna be really good in this. I decided to go with that. So from there, I started training thieving, and after doing some cakes, I started thieving fruit stalls at 25 thieving, and they were extremely fast XP. And my goal was to be 64 thieving off fruit stalls and a bit of master farmers, and that's exactly what I did. That took several hours to do. So after 64 thieving, the next main thing I did was go to Veos, start the Clan of Kren quest, teleport to Land's End, and then go pretty much essentially straight to Mulch, which is the area where you thieve stone chests. And the thing about Mulch is it's guarded by level 62 shamans, so I had to be pretty careful. So I had to bring a bunch of cakes, I had to bring a bunch of strange food, which luckily clear poison, so that was actually very useful. That's one of the main reasons why fruit stalls was pretty necessary to do stone chests. You wouldn't get that any other way of training thieving. So the main goal from Stone Chest was essentially Xeric's Talisman for Tellies all over Zaya. There's also GP that you would get from the chest, which I wanted to use towards feathers, which I could use to Barbarian Fish later on. And I also wanted to collect the Xerician fabrics that you get. They give like 22 XP per fabric, and you get enough crafting XP doing the plowing so that you can actually just train off the fabrics like straight up. So that's why I brought a needle, a thread, and I just started crafting those. And I actually ended up getting a crafting level of 35 doing this whole thing. So it was definitely worth doing that as well. I ended up getting really lucky and getting my Xeric's Talisman really early on. And then like a level later, I got another Xeric's Talisman. The reason another Xeric's Talisman is really good is because it gives 100 fangs when you dismantle it. You can pretty much just like get rid of any excess Xeric's Talismans and swap them for 100 fangs. And 100 fangs is like 100 tellies, which is a lot. And just when I thought that was great, like literally 5 minutes later, I got third Xeric's Talisman. So at this point, I had like over 200 charges, which was like so much early on. I decided to keep doing thieving for some more GP and ultimately to get 75, which is where I stopped. And the reason I chose to stop at 75 is because there's an elite step in the league tasks that gives 250 points just for thieving a gemstone. The requirement's only 75 thieving. And that's a lot of points early on, especially when you want to get relics. So I decided to do that as well. After 75, the next step I took was to train my mining and smithing up. And the reason I need to do that is because I need a steel axe. And the reason you want a steel axe is because it speeds up the rate in which you cut roots in Wintertod. So it's pretty much essential. The rocks were really crowded in Lovacane, so I decided to run to Mount Kraelum, or whatever it's called, and mine stuff there. It took a while, but I ended up creating my steel axe and had my eyes set on another Wintertod piece, which is right over in Arceus, which is a staff of fire. And the reason I wanted that was because it counted as warm clothing. So I went ahead and did the Arceus library for 20% favor, which literally took like 5 minutes, by the way, because like staminas are amazing, and only to find out that Staff of Fire respawn was not like buffed. They said they buffed the respawn in shops for like a bunch of stuff, but apparently they missed that one. So I could not, like, I wasted 15 minutes there just waiting for the respawn, hoping it would like happen sometime soon, but it was not respawning. So I decided to just like cut my losses and decided, like, you know what, I'm gonna go with one piece for Wintertod instead of 2. So from there, I ran to Piscarilius. There's a step for a Klein of Kren quest there because you have to talk to all the general stores. And then I used my Zerix Talisman to teleport all over the spots I missed. And I got like all the general stores talked to in like a matter of minutes. And from there, I just went to Veos, did the step, went to the Dark Altar, went back, handed in the Klein Kren quest. I ended up using my lamps on Hunter because it lets me skip the early Hunter grind, which is AIDS, and also on Construction because it would be very, very beneficial to get the bonus XP when you're doing Wintertod, because Wintertod scales off your XP, and starting with 15 Construction as opposed to 1 would like be a lot of Construction XP down the line. And of course, for favor, I decided to do Piscarilius because the first 20% favor for Piscarilius is pretty much mandatory to be skipped because it's really hard. You need to make planks, which is like extremely difficult in Twisted Leagues. So yeah, I decided to skip Piscarilius, get 20% favor, and that tied into my next plan, which is to do Queen of Thieves, which required 20% favor. And the reason I needed 20% favor is, the reason I needed that quest is because that quest unlocks a shop that unlocks feathers. So that was the next thing I ended up doing. I ended up buying 8,000 feathers in total with my cash stack. And from there, I just trained fishing. And I did that with shrimps for like level 20 fishing, and then fly fishing for 48. And after I got 48 fishing, I started the next grind, which was for 50 firemaking. And for this, I decided it would be best to do firemaking with Hunter, which is pretty much where when you are primarily hunting, but you're firemaking while you're cutting trees, and you're firemaking the logs that you get while you wait for the birds to be caught. So you're sort of like not wasting any time, essentially. The reason I decided to do this instead of raids, which is obviously, like, in case you didn't know, you could train firemaking in raids by getting the Ice Demon boss and then like cutting the trees and then burning them. It's extremely, extremely fast XP. But the reason I didn't do that is because I thought it would be more efficient overall to get Hunter out of the way. And like early on, like when later on, you would not be able to cut oak logs and burn them while training your Hunter your early levels efficiently. Like it would be a waste of time. So it just seemed like it made more sense at the time. I ended up getting 50 firemaking with 45 Hunter, which is really, really decent because that just lets me go straight to aerial fishing whenever I want to go back to it. From there, I went to Wintertod, and my goal for Wintertod was not to stay there for long. In fact, I actually wanted to stay there only for 2 specific things. I wanted 46 fletching, and I wanted a teak log. The reason being that you can 3-tick fish as long as you had a teak log and the fletch level to fletch it. And I ended up getting the teak log in 5 kill count, but it stayed a bit longer to get the fletch XP. And when I finally got that, I went straight to Barb, and that's exactly where I am right now as of now, editing this video. So to explain my decision, the reason why I think doing barbarian fishing before grinding Wintertod was a good idea is because you get a lot of agility XP from jumping the obstacles, and it's like the best agility XP you can get. And I legitimately plan on getting 99 agility between Wintertod games, mainly because going for 100 million Firemaking XP is actually going to be really point efficient. And there's points in like Pyromancer set, there's points in the XP milestones, there's points for 99 agility, obviously. Eventually, Max is going to be tied into that. There's also points for Wintertod KC, and like it just seems overall really efficient to camp Wintertod for a long amount of time. And if you are going to camp Wintertod for a long amount of time, it makes sense for you to get 60 agility first before camping it for extremely long periods of time, because you will benefit a lot more in the long run, points wise. So now let's talk strategy, and you could probably guess with my plans, I'm going for an XP route as opposed to a PVM route. The reason being that I think it's more point efficient to just go for XP. The 2x XP relic and the huge damage increase relic, unfortunately, like make you pick one type of playstyle, and you can only do one style playstyle and do it efficiently. Otherwise, if you try to do both, you're just not gonna get what you're just gonna end up failing at PVMing. You're gonna fail at trying to get a high skill total. Like it's not gonna work out. I don't think it is. I think it's gonna be a very poor decision to try to PVM and try to like get a lot of skill points. I don't think it's gonna work out. So here's my personal plan for relics. Obviously, I already picked the Endless Endurance for Unlimited Run, but my next relic is definitely going to be the Harvester relic. And I'm just waiting until I finish the fishing grind so that I can unlock it. Otherwise, it's going to be really, really annoying. The reason why I think it's a good relic to pick is because it makes construction really easy by making oaks or planks really fast. It makes farming and herbal extremely easy with the harvest times and bonus herbs. It even speeds up fire making because you get the bonus fruits for Wintertod. And it works with the Essence, Demon, and Zaya, essentially making rune crafting like twice as fast alone, like as like a side effect of the Essence, because the Essence doesn't like it also makes you get runes like 3 times as fast. Like it's really good. It's a really, really good relic. It just seems way better, and the only real competition that relic has is the Unnatural Selection relic, which lets you pick your own Slayer task. And to me, picking what Slayer task you get isn't really that important. Like, the XP rate isn't going to be that dramatically different if you pick one task as opposed to the other. I don't really think PVM, hunting like PVM items like trying to camp Hydra is going to be point efficient anyways. So for the third relic, I'm going to go for a double combat. And that was actually a really, really tough decision for me. But I ended up going combat for personal reasons. And that is because I work 40 hours a week and there's only one thing I can really do. That's AFK monsters. So like my account is going to be AFKing monsters more than it's going to be doing like anything else. It's going to be AFKing like sand crabs or something. I don't know how viable it is. I don't know how packed it's going to be, but I'll figure it out. But essentially, there's good points in getting high combat, like getting high stats in skills, right? There's 50 mil XP milestones, the 25 mil XP milestone, it's 100 mil XP milestone, and I can actually get a lot of those with the double XP. Like it makes getting 100 mil combats like actually very, very viable because I'll have like a lot of XP multipliers at once. Like I did a rough estimate of the impact it would make on my total points, and it's like in the several thousands range. It will make a lot of difference in my points, way more than like putting on any other set of skills will. And it also lets me feel less guilty about like leaving the house, for example. Like if I leave the house, all I have to do is like walk my account to sand crabs, be on my phone, every 10 minutes just like reset aggro, like I'm fine. Like I'll feel like I'm not wasting too much like time. It'll just be overall way better for me, in my opinion. It'll make playing way more enjoyable for me. So that's why I'm going for double XP for combats. I don't think you should do this if you're like, you have no other obligations or anything, but this is just for me. For the fourth relic, this was actually a really, really easy choice for me. That is the Treasure relic. And the reason I'm going for that is because it's extremely point efficient. It's like 7,000 points from treasures alone, and the relic is so OP, it makes getting all of the treasure related clues, all of the treasure related points, treasure trail related points, extremely easy. Like it makes them all realistic. 1 in 10 is a really crazy drop rate, and the fact that they stack is just like like fucking perfect. Especially if I'm gonna be AFK in combats, maybe I can like pick up clues as I go or something. Like it just sounds really good. And the other ones just sound like they're not very useful for my use case. Like the Dins one is like really shit. Honestly, you should never consider Dins. The Dins like sucks. And having the bonus damage one, like, I think it's called Kona's Blessing, won't really help me when I AFK in combats because I'll be like waiting for respawns anyway. Since I plan on AFKing a lot, like at Sand Crabs. So that one doesn't really benefit my case at all. And I'm not planning on PVMing, so I don't really care about the damage. For the final relic, I think it's really obvious which one I'm going to pick because it just fits my playstyle really well, and I'm going for the one that gives you double XP. To me, it's a no-brainer. Skilling is going to be the meta for points, and you can't beat double XP for 23 skills. I'm not PVMing, like I said, so like I'm not going to be like doing raids or anything, so that one tick extra attack speed doesn't really help me at all that much. So yeah. That's it for this video. I'm going to continue grinding out Twisted Leagues and most likely streaming it as well. I'll probably make my next video when I feel like I have enough content to share. But until then, thanks for watching and bye.